We all know the traditional parent-teacher conference. Two adults sit analyzing grades and behaviors, while the student sits quietly in the middle, staring at their shoes. The adults do the talking. The student receives the verdict. Student-led conferences restructure this entire process. Instead of the teacher delivering a report, the student takes the head of the table and facilitates the conversation from start to finish. By leading the meeting, students are forced to reflect deeply on their own progress. Communication between home and school becomes transparent, and students take direct ownership of their educational journey. You can transition your classroom to this model in 4 weeks. We'll follow a specific timeline, moving through 4 phases: establishing roles, curating evidence, rehearsing the presentation, and finally, executing the event. When you change who does the talking, you change who holds the responsibility for the learning. Step 1, roughly 3 to 4 weeks out, is redefining the classroom ecosystem. The teacher steps back into the role of a silent facilitator. The parent becomes an active listener. The student becomes the primary leader. Students first need to know where they stand. Using this Grade 3 language arts rubric, they identify their baseline across the top row's criteria. Aligning with the beginning or approaching columns reveals a clear weakness, which they use to form a targeted academic goal. The goal-setting framework scales by age. Elementary students use simple visual checklists to track their progress. Older students use systems like WOOP, standing for Wish, Outcome, Obstacle, and Plan, to map out their path to improvement. The student must draft these goals themselves. If a teacher hands a student a target, it operates as a mandate. When the student identifies their own gap and writes their own goal, it operates as a commitment. By setting their own benchmarks based on clear rubrics, students stop acting as passive recipients of grades and start acting as active directors of their progress. At week 2, students begin curating a physical or digital portfolio to prove their progress. The instinct is to only select flawless, high-scoring assignments. You need to explicitly tell students to avoid this. A stack of perfect papers doesn't show learning, it only shows final results. A complete, inclusive portfolio relies on 3 specific components: a proud piece that showcases their strengths, a challenge piece that highlights a struggle, and a reflection on their daily work habits. Requiring a challenge piece is crucial. It normalizes the struggle of learning. It requires the student to articulate exactly where they got stuck and explain what strategies they will try next. Logistically, the portfolio needs to be accessible for the parents viewing it. Students should organize physical binders with clear tables of contents, or format digital slide decks to support screen reader modes. The resulting portfolio is a curated, evidence-based narrative of academic resilience. 1 week out, you must dedicate class time for peer-to-peer role-playing. Presenting to adults is intimidating. Verbal repetition builds the necessary muscle memory for students to maintain eye contact and handle professional communication under pressure. To keep them on track, provide a 5-point student meeting checklist. They follow this order: introductions, goals, portfolio evidence, strengths and weaknesses, and the Q&A. Pay close attention to that final step. The student must explicitly invite the parent to ask questions at the end of the presentation, keeping the dialogue flowing without teacher intervention. Structured rehearsal eliminates the anxiety of a formal adult review, replacing it with a confident, predictable student presentation. On the day of the conference, arrange your room into reflective learning stations. This allows multiple families to hold their conferences simultaneously around the room. There is one absolute rule for seating: the student must always be placed at the head of the table. Ensure the environment accommodates everyone. Create quiet sensory spaces if the room gets too loud, and have translation aids ready for diverse families. Finally, leave parent prompt cards on the desks. Parents are used to interrogating the teacher. Giving them cards with sentence starters like, "I'm proud of you for," and "How can I help you?" redirects their focus entirely onto their child. The physical environment silently enforces the new power dynamic. As the teacher, you step back and the students take over. The work doesn't stop when the parents leave. The day after the conference, require both students and parents to complete a short post-conference reflection survey. Bring the class together in a circle. Debrief the emotional experience of taking leadership. Ask them what felt difficult and what made them proud. Next, take the feedback the parents provided during the Q&A and use it to help the students adjust their academic goals for the upcoming term. As an educator, stepping back is difficult, but by handing over the agenda, you allowed your students to step up and prove their competence. Ultimately, this process transforms students into self-advocates. They leave the conference table having already demonstrated the communication skills and confidence required to navigate the real world.